Hey, everybody. This is Mother Teresa. How is everybody doing this evening? Listen, I'm back with another video. For the month of February, we have been challenged by DoorDash to do a video every single day. So if you haven't gotten in on the challenge, you need to be a part of this challenge. And part of the challenge is just making sure that we are consistent posting for YouTube videos. Now, let me just tell you, there are a couple of other things that DoorDash has going on right now. Right now, she's got a $500 giveaway. So if you haven't gotten on to that or enrolled or signed up for that or logged in, you need to do that. Okay, enough about that. Listen, how is everybody doing on today? I hope everybody has had a great day. This is Monday, the beginning of the week. So it is time for us to talk about my Monday morning motivation this morning. I ask you all, are you a dreamer? And I reference the story in the Bible of Joseph the dreamer. So many of us have many dreams and many goals and many things that we would like to accomplish. But sometimes we are a little bit fearful about actually starting on trying to accomplish those goals or trying to actually do the work to get started to make those dreams a reality. And let me just tell you, procrastination is the greatest thing, the greatest dream killer. And I know that because I put off going back and finishing my college degree for 10 long years. I enrolled in school at Stephen F. Austin as soon as I graduated from high school. But let me just tell you, I was a teen mom. I was an unwed mom. And I had my baby to take care of. I was trying to work. I was trying to go to a university. I was trying to do all of those things plus work full time. And so with all of that going on at the age of 18, listen, I had to defer my dream. And I did the one semester there. Was it one semester or 1 year? Must have been 1 year. Did the 1 year at Stephen F. Austin and decided, listen, this is too much for me. So I put that dream on hold and I started working full time. Well, by the age that I turned 20, my husband and I had gotten married. But then by now, it's really you being not only am I a mom, but now I'm a wife. And I really got to help take care of, helping my husband to pay the bills. We had an apartment at that time. So it was just a lot that was going on. And when we think about dreams and we think about life, and people often say life is just lifing, that's life is going to be lifing until you have no life to live. And so that's always going to be something that we're going to have to deal with. But one of the things I will tell you is that a dream deferred is not necessarily a dream denied. Because as I stated, I put my dream to finish my college degree on hold while I was trying to, be a wife and be a mom and work full time and do all those things. But let me tell you, the types of jobs that I was working were not jobs that I knew that I wanted to have for the rest of my life. Thank God my husband, who is a police officer, has been a police officer since the 80s and late 80s. And so he was making a very good income that afforded, us to be able to live a good life and me not necessarily have to worry so much about money, but I still knew that my income was needed. So, again, some of the jobs that I was working, it was not the type of jobs that I knew that I wanted to have for a long period of time. And also I knew that those were not the types of jobs that we were going to be able to, let me adjust this camera just a little bit, that was not the type of job that we were going to be I needed in order for us to then buy a house, and do some of those other things that I wanted to do. So jobs like working I've never worked in fast food. Never. At 61 years old, I can say I've never worked at fast food. Not saying I was above that. It's just that I never had to do that. But I did work in daycare for a long period of time. And I chose to work in daycare because I had not only my daughter, but 6 years later after we got married, I had my second child. And so having young children working at a daycare was the most logical decision for me, because I could be near my children. I could be there with them. And you know how it is when you don't trust people to take care of your children. Basically, I went to work as, working in a daycare, which, just required me to have some background knowledge about child development and different things like that, which is a couple of classes that I had taken, or just, at that time, you just needed to be a high school graduate. You may not even need it to be a high school graduate. But anyway, I worked that job as a preschool, which was a daycare teacher. I also worked a job as a dishwasher in a convalescence home. I worked in the kitchen. I think I was the dishwasher. Maybe I was the helper. I was the helper. I think we did it all. But anyway, I wasn't the cook. I was kind of like the helper, where to help serve the trays and everything like that. But let me just tell you, that got old really, really quickly, because I worked in a kitchen where it was a lot of older women. And granted, I was probably in my early 20s. And it was a lot of older women, and all of those women, I ain't gonna say all of them, but most of those women, all they did was just this all day long. And they talked about people, and they gossiped, and they just did all those types of things that it just made me so uncomfortable, so very uncomfortable. And here I am, a new baby in Christ, and trying to live a godly life. And I'm listening to all of this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And at that time, I was not used to being around a lot of, elderly people other than my grandparents. And so it was just a big adjustment, a very big adjustment. And so needless to say, I didn't do that very long. Most of my career before I went to work in the school district was in a daycare, in daycares. And I can just recall that when I left the daycare business, when my children were of school age, y'all, I'm taking off my bracelets and rings and stuff like that. When I left the daycare, I had just said in my mind, I said, I will not come back and work at a daycare. Excuse me. I think I need some stuff on my lips. I will not come back and work at a daycare unless I am the director of a daycare. And I just really made it up in my mind that I was not going to do that, because working in a daycare, it's a lot, you all. It's a lot. And you really have to have a love for children, which I did, and I do. But you also have to deal with sometimes parents who are not very nice, not very kind. And it just takes a lot out of you. You listen and you work with kids. I'm sorry, y'all. I know this is not very whatever, but there. You work with kids all day long, and then you have your own children, and you have to go home and be a wife, be a mom, and you've got to do it in a manner that you are giving your best and your all to your children. And so by the time I would make it home from daycare, I was like, I'm done. I have always thought that I was a good mom. I definitely could have been better. But I'm like, I'm done with children for right now. After 5 o'clock, I don't want to deal with children. And my kids, thank God I had good kids. Oh, my girls were so good. So I had good kids, y'all. I don't know what's going on with my lip right there in that corner, y'all. But anyway, so I had really good kids. And, but I just knew that even working in daycare, and I really liked it. I mean, I really enjoyed working with the kids. I enjoyed being able to, to teach the kids and try to lead them and try to guide them and just, being there for them while their parents went to work. And one of the things, and also working with the parents, because we had a lot of really, really good parents, and they trusted us to take care of their children, their most prized possessions. So they entrusted us to take care of those kids, and we did our absolute best to make sure that those children were well taken care of. Again, as a mom, the way I treated other people's children is the way that I would have wanted other people to treat my children. So I tried to assure those parents that when you leave them in my care, that they are going to be well taken care of. I'm going to love these children. I'm going to be respectful towards them, just like I would hope that somebody else would be respectful to my children. And I did that. I'm telling you, I formed some relationships with some of my daycare kids, and I would have taken those kids home with me and at the drop of a hat. I still I'm in communication with some of my daycare kids that I had, and they are in their 30s, probably mid to late 30s, and I am friends with them on Facebook. And so, and it's just an amazing thing to watch how these kids have, now they're adults, how with their own children, how they have just grown up. And so I caution you, anybody that is helping to take care of other people's children or their elderly parents, treat them as if they are your own. Because a lot of times as young parents, we have to go to work, and those parents had to go to work, and they trusted individuals to be kind and loving to their children. And just like with my elderly mom, now that she needs a provider, somebody to stay with her and help her, I trust them to take care of my mom as if it was their mom. And when I go home, that's one of the prayers that we pray, is that her providers will love her like she is their mom, that they would be kind and gentle with her, and that she would be the same with them, that she would be kind and gentle with them. So, just as people, just being there for each other and helping people to be able to go to work and do their daily things. But getting back to the dream, I had to put my dream on hold to finish my college degree because life. And so, and as I put my dream on hold, one of the things that I often would say is that I am going to finish this degree. I don't care how long it takes me. I am going to finish this, because my goal was to, I thought I wanted to major in sociology, the study of people. But at that time, I didn't realize that that's really what that was. I always knew I wanted to be a social worker, but I did not understand that sociology and social work were two different things. Remember, if you've been watching me for a while, I grew up in the projects, and we had this wonderful, wonderful African-American lady who was a social worker. Her name was Bertie Bell Wade. And I didn't know what her job title was, but I knew I wanted to do what she was doing, because she would come in our community in the projects, and she would talk to the people, she would talk to the elderly people, she would talk to anybody, and she was always trying to help the people in that community. Again, I didn't know what her title was. I just knew that was a Black professional woman who was coming into our neighborhood. And she didn't live that far away. She didn't live in the projects, but she didn't live that far away. And she would come in our neighborhoods, and she would just be there as a beacon of light. And so later on, I learned that her title was a social worker, but I knew I wanted to be just like her, another dream. And so, so having said that, when I was in school, that first year, I was taking a couple of courses, and I was like, no, this is not really what I want to do. But it wasn't until I went back to school after 10 years Yes, you heard me right. 10 years of sitting out that I realized, okay, I want to be a social worker. And let me just tell you how that 10-year span, I told you I was working at as a daycare teacher. And I remember um, getting a phone call from a friend of mine that I had met while I was working at Community Action. And of course, I was working at a program for Community Action is part of, like, they have Head Start and all of that, but they had a division of Community Action called Developmental Disabilities Program, and it was working with children with developmental delays. And I met a friend who is, I still consider her as a friend to this day, Mary Barreca. And I met Mary and we just became fast friends. Mary, I found out, she's Italian. Yeah, she's Italian. And um, Mary and my background were totally, totally different. Mary grew up in River Oaks in the Houston area. Her daddy was the infamous Frank Barreca, Dr. Frank Barreca, who started the ARC in Houston. Um, just like I said, totally, totally different than my family. And Mary, I hope I'm getting all, if you watch this, I hope I'm getting all of this stuff correct. But anyway, so Mary and I became fast friends, and uh, we worked together for a while at that program. And then in 1991, Mary calls me, I would say out of the blue. Now, Mary was at my wedding. Like I said, Mary was my friend, or Mary is my friend. She called me and she said, Teresa, what are you doing right now? So I told Mary what I was doing. And she said, would you like to come and work for Nacogdoches County Schools Co-op? And I was like, what is Nacogdoches County Schools Co-op? And she said, it is a co-op, a cooperative that is 8 school districts, and we provide the special ed services for children with disabilities. And she said, and right now I'm looking for a paraprofessional to work with one student, and are you interested? And I said, let me talk to my husband about it, but I'm quite sure, yeah, this sounds good. Because see, what I was thinking is, working for the school district means that you have the summers off, you have Christmas off, you get all of these days off, and you still get paid. So that's what I was thinking. And I was like, okay, let me talk to my husband. So fast forward, I took the job, and this is the job that I started off as a paraprofessional making $7,500 for the year. You heard that right, $7,500. And the cap for that position was $12,500. So you would get like a $500 raise every year. I think it was $500 raise every year, and you would cap out at $12,500. So anyway, I was like, okay, I'm never going to make any money at this job. But anyway, I wanted to do it because, again, it was working for the school district, and I would have the summers off with my kids and everything like that. So I took the job, and that very first year, I worked with one single student. And then I think the next year I maybe added a second student. So I may have had 2 students, but I worked with that one student, and my little space for that one student was kind of like in a separate area of the classroom. And so this child was nonverbal. He was not mobile. And he depended on a person to take care of his every need. And so I worked with with the little boy for while I was there. And that end of that year, I decided that, thank God for my husband's salary again, but I decided now is the time to finish this degree. Because as I was in the classroom, I began to notice that a lot of those students that had the developmental delays, that they needed other things. They needed some additional supports. They needed resources. And a lot of these parents, they are they lived in the rural areas in Nacogdoches County where there were not a lot of resources. And there were not a lot of resources in Nacogdoches, but there were definitely no resources in those rural areas surrounding Nacogdoches. So what I thought is that these families and these students, they need a social worker. They need somebody to advocate on their behalf for the resources that they need. And so with having said that, what I did is I visited with my director at the time, my special ed director, and I was just, sharing with her that in my observation, I think that having a school social worker would be ideal because it would be a benefit to those parents. Well, let me just share she did not think that that was needed or necessary. And so it was just like, okay, we're not going to do that. I'm still talking about my dream, okay, being a dreamer. And so the next year, so I just like, okay, we're not going to do it. So the next year, at the end of that year, she retired and we had another director to come on board. And let me just tell you, I approached that new director. I let him get settled, but I approached that new director with the same idea. And guess what? He said yes. He said, yes, I think that would be great. And let me just tell you, for those dreamers, for the dreamers out there, don't ever give up on your dream. Even if one person tells you no, and they say that that's not their vision or their dream, God didn't give it to them. God gave it to you. So I'm going to say, don't let anybody stop you from fulfilling the dream that you have. And so had I been the type of person to just say, oh, well, I mustn't hear God, or that's really not my dream, I would have stopped right there. But I didn't. When she left, I went to our new director and he said yes. And let me just tell you, the way that God worked that thing out, the place where our new director came from, they did not have school social workers. So he was not familiar with what a school social worker was. And this was back in like I said, the 90s. So the early 90s in East Texas, in Nacogdoches County. So they had never heard of school social workers. There was not a school social worker in the area. And when he said yes, guess what? I got busy. I wrote a proposal for the position, and I did that after I did my research by contacting cities like Houston and Dallas and asking them about their, school social workers. What did they do? What type of office did they work out? What was their salary? All those things that I needed to put into this proposal. And let me tell you, by the time that I finished, and I want to say my notebook was white, but I had a it was thicker than this. This is a 1-inch binder. I probably had a 2-inch binder, and it was full of all sorts of things that I could think of, that I could gather about school social work. And when I presented this to my director at that time, Mr. Shoemake, and he was just like, wow, you are prepared. You really have thought this through. And I had the time to put together that whole proposal. And let me just tell you, there was no Chat GPT at that time. There was none of that. It was like, okay, let me call people. Let me print out this information. Let me type this up. Let me do all of this stuff so I can give him a good proposal. And so in giving him that proposal, he was like, okay, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. And we did. We made it happen. I was able to advance my salary 6 times the amount that I was making. Like I said, that's 7.5. I say it was 6 times. Maybe it went from 7.5, I think to about 35 or 36 in just a matter of a couple of years, 2 years. And I moved from the school on campus to the administrative building, which making history in Nacogdoches. I was the first that looked like me to ever have that position, to work at the administrative offices for the Nacogdoches County Schools Co-op. And let me just say, that was in 1990. I must have started back, I started back to school in 1992. Because when I was in school, it was 1982. And I took 10 years off, so it was back in 1992. And by 1995, I had graduated with my associate's degree as well, and I did that in May of 1995 with an associate's degree because I was going to Angelina College, as well as I was going to Stephen F. Austin at the same time. And I did that because I was told that I could get, at least apply for my social work associate's license with an associate's degree. And that's what I was trying to do. Well, little did I know, I was just burning the bridges so fast that in December of 1995, I actually graduated with my bachelor's degree. So within May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, 6 months, I had graduated with an associate's and a bachelor's degree. Yes, talking about being a dreamer. And I was able to pass my exam to be a licensed social worker. And let me just tell you, when God gives you the dream, when he gives you the dream, and you put your mind to it, you all, there is nothing that can stop you. Don't let anything or anybody stop you. Go for what you want. Do what it takes to get there. And just keep going. Just keep going. Don't give up. Don't let the pressures of life, like I said, people say life is lifing. Yes, life is always going to be lifing, like I said, until there's no life to live. But you've got to keep going. As a dreamer, God gives us these things. He gives us these desires, these things that we want. And it's up to us, along with his help, to be able to make it, to be able to go through, to endure, to make it to where we want to be. And listen, talking about dreamer, that's just one of the dreams that I have. I'm going to talk to you all in another video, because I'm posting a video every day, long form or short. I'm going to talk to you all about another dream that I have and I had as a young person. And that's going to come in another video. But I'm going to end this video by just saying, I believe God gives us the desires of our heart, but I also believe that he expects us to put in the work. I believe that he expects us to, after he gives us the vision, as we are walking this journey, as we're walking this vision, this destination, or being on the path to this destination or this journey, that we have to put in the work. Yes, there are many people that their dreams just kind of, it seems like it just falls out of the sky and it just happens. That's not the case for everybody. And so for me, I had to do the work. I had to do the work. And so, and I'm grateful that I did the work, because I appreciate where I am so much now than if it had just been handed to me. And so I'm going to leave with that. You all you dreamers out there, keep dreaming. Don't let nobody stop your dream, okay? If God gave it to you with hard work, he's going to help you to be able to fulfill your dream. So you all have a good night, everybody. And I will see you all on the next video. Y'all have a great night. Bye-bye, everybody.